As a business owner, you may have heard the term Nexus thrown around a lot in recent years when people are talking about sales tax. It seems like these terms, economic nexus and physical nexus, they're everywhere nowadays. So let's talk about how they impact your obligations as a business to collect sales tax. So many years ago, there were a few big court cases out there that talked about Nexus. So it was Complete Auto Transit and Quill. So you may have heard of them. And the outcome was that businesses with physical nexus in a state were required to collect sales tax in that state, right? So that's pretty straightforward. We can understand what that means. It's like feet on the ground, salespeople that may be working in a particular state, maybe warehouses. You have a warehouse in a state. You're maybe renting tangible personal property into a state. So you have property in that state. You have employees in that state. And that's going to create the obligation for you to register and collect sales tax in that state. It's physical. It's very clear. Those cases, they establish this physical standard, and that is what creates Nexus. That is what creates your obligation to collect sales tax in a state. But at the end of the day, right? So if you didn't have that physical presence in the state, you did not need to collect sales tax. And as you probably know, more and more sales happen online these days, right? And by not having that physical presence, right, and not needing to collect sales tax, these states were missing out on billions of dollars of revenue from all of these online sales. And then buyers were actually going online to purchase things versus stepping into their local store in an effort for them to save some money, right? So it really wasn't helping small businesses either. There wasn't a level playing field. It's a term a lot of people use, right? So states had this interest in challenging the present standards, the physical presence standard. And so they did that, right? So everything changed a few years ago when another big court case made its way to the Supreme Court. That was called Wayfair versus South Dakota. So you've probably heard of this one. This one eliminated the physical nexus requirements, and it allowed for economic nexus. So then the question becomes, what is economic nexus? So economic nexus is a business presence in a state that makes the out-of-state seller liable to collect and remit sales tax to that state. Once they hit a certain level of transactions or sales, which we call thresholds, and usually it's within a defined period of time. So it's important to note that each state has their own laws surrounding what constitutes economic nexus in their state. I'm going to include some links below to some handy charts that are going to list the rules out state by state so that you can take a look at them and be aware of what you need to know. But in most states, the threshold for economic nexus is $100,000 or 200 transactions over a 12-month period, right? So I say that's most states, but there are absolutely exceptions to this. So make sure you click on the links in the description below to read more about this. So once a business meets the threshold for economic nexus in a particular state, they need to register to collect sales tax with that state. Now, note there also are requirements when you need to register once you do meet those thresholds for that state. So whether you run an online business or a business that's expanding across state borders, you need to understand sales tax registration obligations. This is going to be super important for you and your business, right? Because if you don't register and you fail to collect the sales tax, you're going to be held responsible for paying that uncollected sales tax out of your own pocket if you're audited, if and when you're audited, right? So you're going to need to, at that point, pay interest and fees. It could make your overall sales tax liability really hefty enough to actually put you out of business. And I've heard that happening to a good many businesses, and I don't want that to happen to yours. So as a business owner, you're much better off being proactive, be informed, so you can collect the sales tax from your customers once that obligation exists, right? So it comes out of your customers' pockets, not yours. And you don't need to stress about it. It doesn't need to keep you up at night. If you're unsure about what your obligations are, you should always reach out to a professional, a CPA, a bookkeeper, a lawyer, so that they can advise you accordingly. So I thank you for watching this video. Hope it helps you in your business. Hit that like button If it was helpful, hit the subscribe button to see more videos about sales tax. I'm going to be covering a lot more topics related to compliance and tips you need to know, along with covering some software. And hopefully it all helps you with your business. And I'll see you again soon.